Organized crime is their name.
You're gonna have to kill me first, Flat Top.
Gary, it's time we had a serious talk.
You're gonna have to kill me first, Flat Top.
Get a grip, Gary.
But you're gonna have to kill me first, Flat Top.
It sounds like fun to me, pal.
You can't do this to me. I'm Dick Tracy.
You know Dick Tracy. Say your prayers, smart guy.
Kid, you can't beat Dick Tracy by wishing it. You need MTV's help.
MTV's Be Dick Tracy contest. Call 1-900-786-2222 and you could win the chance to become America's #1 crime fighter.
Thanks for calling.
You'll get Tracy's trademark coat and fedora and the famous wrist radio.
Very upsetting.
Pursue your quarry in Tracy's vintage sedan. And for off-duty, something a little flashier. This sleek boat-tail speedster was seized from Breathless Mahoney. Your first case, the exclusive Dick Tracy premiere party at the Disney MGM Studios. The biggest names in Tinseltown will be there.
Here's my invitation.
Your job, infiltrate and recover the loot.
15,000 claims.
A fitting reward for the world's greatest detective. MTV's Be Dick Tracy contest. Just call 1-900-786-2222 and take your shot.
You're a good man, Tracy.
Just doing my job.
1 badge, 2 cars, 15 grand. It could be yours, Dick.
You mind if I call you Dick?
MTV's promotion brought to you by M&M's.
When it's time to fight crime,
Calling Dick Tracy. Calling Dick Tracy.
he's your man.
Tracy.
Tracy?
You mind if I call you Dick? Okay, boys, let's go.
Extra, extra, Tracy Battles move!
Come on, Tracy, take me with you.
You're under arrest.
Want more? Kid.
Kid?
Kid.
Walt Disney Pictures presents Warren Beatty
Make a note, Pat. They waived their right to a phone call.
as Dick Tracy.
Aren't you gonna frisk me?
Now that's what I call a dame.
I think Tracy drives you crazy, doesn't he?
When do we get Dick Tracy?
Everywhere I turn, it's Tracy, Tracy, Tracy!
This summer,
Tracy, watch out!
he's coming to a theater near you.
I'm on my way.
Dick Tracy.
There's more than one way to win cash in McDonald's Dick Tracy Crime Stopper game.
Give it up, prune face.
Collect the mobsters from your game cards and watch for their ugly mugshots each week at McDonald's. Make a match and you can make $1 million.
Aha! There's the old pucker puss.
We solved that case without a wrinkle.
We?
Dick Tracy. The movie is only in theaters.
I'm ripping him out.
Game is only at McDonald's.
Dick Tracy is a 1990 American crime film based on the 1930s comic strip created by Chester Gould. Warren Beatty produced, directed, and starred in the film, whose supporting cast includes Al Pacino, Madonna, Glenn Headley, and Charlie Cosmo, with appearances by Dustin Hoffman, James Keane, Charles Durning, William Forsythe, Seymour Cassill, Mandy Patinkin, Catherine O'Hara, Ed Ross, James Caan, James Tolkien, Archie Armstrong, and Dick Van Dyke. Dick Tracy depicts the detective's romantic relationships with Breathless Mahoney and Tess Trueheart, as well as his conflicts with crime boss Alphonse Big Boy Caprice and his henchmen. Tracy also begins fostering a young street urchin named Kid. The film was nominated for 7 Academy Awards, winning 3, which was for Best Art Direction, Best Makeup, and Best Original Song for Sooner or Later. Disney had hoped Dick Tracy would launch a successful franchise, like the Indiana Jones series, but Disney halted plans. When released, it was preceded by the Roger Rabbit short, Roller Coaster Rabbit.
Spanky, nothing like a good spanky.
You can become a detective in McDonald's Dick Tracy Crime Stopper game.
Wanna play games, huh, Copper?
Rub out the evidence and follow the clues
Follow that car.
to collect rewards like a Big Mac or up to $1 million.
Okay, you win.
Give me the bag.
Dick Tracy. The movie is only in theaters.
You're under arrest.
The game is only at McDonald's.
There's big trouble in the big city. Crime is out of control. Vice runs wild. Gangsters have joined forces to squeeze the town dry. And only one cop is smart enough, honest enough, or tough enough to stop him. He's so good, Hollywood's decided to make a movie about him. Who is he? Who else? He's Dick Tracy. For the next half hour, you're invited to get inside Dick Tracy on both sides of the camera.
Cut.
As movie makers transform a comic strip legend into this summer's greatest adventure, something so new and unique, nothing like it has ever been seen on screen before.
Nobody touches Tracy but me. Tracy.
Tracy?
You mind if I call you Dick?
I'm revving him out.
Just ahead, you'll see why great gangsters are made, not born. And what makes Madonna such a breathtaking, breathless Mahoney.
Breathless wears a lot of tight dresses.
You'll find out how this kid became this kid, and why director and star Warren Beatty wears so many different hats on the job, including the world's most famous yellow fedora. Action, laughter, and surprising tricks of the movie-making trade. It's all in store and more right here, right now, on Dick Tracy, Behind the Badge, Behind the Scenes.
Guys, this is now point of view. Tracy and the bad guys come out. Car's gonna move.
You're on a studio street in Hollywood where something magic is happening. Oscar winner Warren Beatty and a group of gifted filmmakers are literally bringing a comic strip to life for the new action comedy adventure, Dick Tracy.
Extra! Tracy battles more!
When Dick Tracy cracks down on crime in the movies, he cracks down hard, and gangsters who get in his way don't like it a bit. Big Boy Caprice plots to get rid of Tracy, but Tracy's got other plans.
You're sloppy, big boy. You're under arrest. Get him out of here, boys.
It's the world's greatest detective versus the city's most dangerous crime boss.
There was one Napoleon, one Washington, one me.
And may the best man win.
You tell me you're an officer of the law. I am the law.
And Big Boy's got a secret weapon. Her name is Breathless Mahoney, a blonde who knows how to keep a cop torn between duty and desire.
I was beginning to wonder what a girl had to do to get arrested.
Wearing that dress is a step in the right direction.
Can Tracy outwit Big Boy and save the city? Will a homeless orphan named The Kid help him do it? Can Tracy resist Breathless? And if he can't, will his girlfriend Tess Trueheart forgive and forget?
I'll bet she does some nifty undercover work.
Dick Tracy, on one hand, is a story about good versus evil, and on the other hand, it's a story about people wanting to form a family. Dick Tracy and Tess Trueheart would like to have a family, and the kid is an orphan, and he'd like to have a family, and they get together. It's got to be wide and go like that.
Hollywood's never made a movie like Dick Tracy before. The look, the feel, the fun. Almost everything about it is unique and exciting and unexpected. Breaking old rules, then writing brand new ones with some stunning results.
Calling Dick Tracy. Calling Dick Tracy.
Come in, Sam.
Southside warehouse on the river, Tracy. Something's going on. You better get down here.
I'm on my way.
Dick Tracy is history's most popular comic strip detective, battling history's best-known rogues gallery of gangsters. He's an American original, an incorruptible hero with an unmistakable image.
Dick Tracy only wears one thing. He wears a black suit with a white shirt, a striped tie, and a yellow coat and hat. Tracy owns 2 suits.
You don't want my knees down, do you? Yeah. Otherwise you can't reach it.
Both like this.
Dick Tracy's long and legendary crime-fighting career didn't begin here in Hollywood. It began in Chicago on the drawing board of newspaper cartoonist Chester Gould. He made Tracy a 20th century hero, defending American values and virtues in an urban jungle where good was good and evil was evil and nothing was in between. It's the same dangerous, one-of-a-kind world that Warren Beatty has transformed from the comics to the screen.
Hey, tough guy.
You want to try that on somebody your own size? I liked Dick Tracy when I was a kid. I liked the bad guys. And I liked the good guys. I liked the good guys just enough better than the bad guys to keep me interested. Let's go!
The bad guys in Dick Tracy are some of Chester Gould's most memorable villains, with their own permanent place in American pop culture. Ugly mugs like Flat Top, and Prune Face, Shoulders, and the Brow. Then there's Itchy, and Mumbles, and Lips Manless, too.
Who are they?
Your lips.
Flat Top.
All of them created through the magic of makeup, with new touches added to the old Hollywood art of making faces.
Is it true that when you do a film for Disney that you turn into a cartoon character?
The men behind the makeup magic are Doug Drexler.
You ready for the last one?
And John Caglione, Jr.
What's the position?
Hurry.
Two longtime fans of Chester Gould's distinctive character style.
Every character is an individual actor, so we had to create individual looks for that specific person.
You know, you could look at a lot of comic magazines and cartoon strips, and faces tend to look the same, but not on Dick Tracy.
Doug and John spent 4 months developing each of Dick Tracy's gangsters before cameras ever rolled. After that, it was the actor's turn, some spending another 4 months working inside new and not-so-handsome faces, like Edo Ross, who plays Itchy, the hitman.
The makeup can get really intense. On the other hand, the makeup looks so great. You know, it's like, and you see these guys coming on, and it's like, no way. You know, it's like, God, you know, because they're so distorted, but yet they're so lifelike.
It was very funny with these guys who played these parts. I forgot what they looked like. And then when I would see them with their makeup off, I thought, God, they're so good looking, those guys.
When you have it on, you do feel strange. People treat you differently. I mean, there's no doubt about it. You come walking up with his face. If a person doesn't know you, the first thing they see is this, and that's the way they treat you.
Actor William Forsythe prepared for his role as Flat Top by spending long, uncomfortable hours in the makeup chair each and every morning, day after day.
I have 3.5 hours, you know, people putting glue and rubber all over me, so it puts me in a perfect mood, like to play a killer.
The makeup artists did the impossible. Those cartoon characters came alive.
The ultimate compliment to Doug and John's makeup comes from Jean Gould O'Connell, Chester Gould's daughter. Jean literally grew up with her father's mob of gangsters. She says visiting the set of Dick Tracy and coming face to face with Flat Top, Itchy, and all the rest was like a reunion of old friends.
It's marvelous watching them because this is their life right now, and they're living the part. Oh, if only my father could see this, he would be prouder than proud.
Where there's gangsters, there's crime.
Okay, here we go, guys.
And where there's crime, there's action. Just as much of it behind the scenes as there is in the movie itself.
Action. Here we go.
All right.
Get up.
Elaborate action sequences required total teamwork, a complicated co-creation of the director, the cast and crew, stunt people, and explosives experts, each contributing to Dick Tracy's inventive, spectacular, and highly stylized special effects. The result? Warren Beatty sometimes faced as much danger behind the scenes as Tracy does on the screen. And an exploding police car seemed to fall uncomfortably close to Beatty's back.
They saw that shot and they said, this is fantastic, and you didn't flinch. It was incredible. This car flipped over in back of you. The truth is, I never heard it. I never saw it. I didn't know when it happened. My machine gun was making so much noise, and I had earplugs in, and I think I came quite close to death, but I didn't know it. So that's why I didn't flinch.
Coming up, Madonna makes a new kind of music, while filmmakers bring Chester Gould's comic strip world to life, recreated on screen like nothing you've ever seen before.
Pick it up. Pick it up.
Warren Beatty is more than the star of Dick Tracy. He's the producer and the director as well.
Yeah, great. That's a good piece. That's a good piece.
Heading up a cast and crew that includes Madonna as Breathless Mahoney, Charlie Korsmo as the Kid, Glenn Headley as Tracy's long-suffering love, Tess Trueheart, and a list of major stars like Charles Durning.
Joe! Yes, sir. Get my car. Keep an eye on the kid till I get back. Right, Chief.
Dick Van Dyke.
Chief, I am a candidate for mayor. If you can't control Detective Tracy, you'll just have to take him off duty.
And Mandy Patinkin.
Once the words were spoken, something may be broken.
Plus, some other famous faces that you may not recognize behind their on-screen alter egos.
Oh, look what you did to your pretty tuxedo.
Behind it all is a production team that reads like a directory of innovative movie makers, with 68 Academy Award nominations to its combined credit. Cinematographer Vittorio Storaro, honored with Oscars for Reds, Apocalypse Now, and The Last Emperor. Production designer Richard Silbert, the man who gave the unforgettable look to movies like Chinatown, Shampoo, and Cotton Club. And costume designer Milena Canonero, another Oscar winner, famous for her work in Out of Africa and Chariots of Fire. An impressive group, faced with an impressive challenge, transporting moviegoers to a world that doesn't exist anywhere except on film. A place with a look that goes beyond fantasy into a new kind of super reality.
We can't make it.
This has never been tried. Nobody's ever come near this.
The dazzle of Dick Tracy's world begins with the colors, only 6 of them, matching the ink that newspapers use to print their Sunday comics.
Every yellow in this picture is the same yellow. Every red in this picture is the same red. Every blue, the same blue. And every green, the same green. And then there's black and white. What's going to happen is it's going to become something quite beautiful to look at.
Okay, boys, let's go.
Like the comic strip, Dick Tracy's world is a plain-wrapped, generic world. No brand names, no logos. It's a place where a street's just a street, a diner's just a diner, and a car's just a car.
Warren is really a car buff and really knows his cars. Gangster cars kind of all look alike, and from the start, he wanted the cars to be very nondescript. He didn't want to know that Chevys were Chevys and Fords were Fords and et cetera. You know, it's quite a challenge as far as doing stuff to the grills and hood ornaments. We had a sculptor come in and design hood ornaments just for these cars. We didn't feel that the older engines would give us enough power, give the stuntmen enough power to do what they wanted. So we took one police car and a couple of our gangster cars and put modern engines and transmissions in them.
In addition to cars and other full-size elements, lots of little things went into the making of Dick Tracy. Dozens of miniatures, from small motorized riverboats with tiny moving people to a fully operational drawbridge, and this 1,200-pound steam locomotive running on narrow-gauge track across its own shooting stage. Though every frame of Dick Tracy was filmed on a studio lot, you'd never know it in the movie, because Warren Beatty's team built a completely original city from their combined imaginations.
I hope. I think it's kind of fresh, because it's not like anything I've been connected with. We began to use a word called super real.
In real life, the Kid is Charlie Korsmo, an 11-year-old 6th grader from Minneapolis, handpicked by Warren Beatty to play the part.
Charlie Korsmo is an unusually intelligent guy. He has a built-in sense of what's phony and what's not, and that was good enough for me.
Okay, cut. That looks good, Charlie. Come here.
Dick Tracy is every kid actor's dream come true, the ultimate game of let's pretend.
Well, the kid is an orphan that Dick Tracy finds on the streets, and he's like this tough kid, you know, and he's always hopping on the back of the police cars when Tracy doesn't want him to follow him everywhere, so I'm always jumping on the back of police cars and following them.
For most youngsters, making Dick Tracy might have been a little bit scary. But Charlie Korsmo's the kind of kid who takes everything in stride, even to the point of working on his curveball between takes. completely at ease, even around grown-up movie veterans like cinematographer Vittorio Storaro and Warren Beatty.
Charlie, remember when we were doing the scene, and I asked you to invent a line, and you said you didn't like the line. What was your substitute line?
As God is my witness, I shall never go hungry again.
It's a lot of fun, Charlie Korsmo. He would say to me, loosen up, loosen up. You're all right, kid.
Next, it's Madonna, out of vogue and into character as Breathless Mahoney, when we return to Dick Tracy, behind the badge, behind the scenes.
Okay, Sam, you take the front. We're going to the roof.
Tracy, why are we going to the roof?
I don't know. Seems like a good place to hide.
Dick Tracy is always up to his hat in trouble, but the movie never loses its sense of humor.
Tracy, if you went out in the street every night risking your neck, you could have a wife. I mean, a life.
I like to do this a lot.
Behind the scenes, that same feeling of fun was equally obvious.
This is the head table, and your host for the evening is Mr. Big Boy Caprice.
Whether it was a room full of extras going along with a gag, or the way Madonna reacted to Paul Sorvino slurping up oysters in rehearsal, laughter came easy and often in between takes.
Cut! The Oyster King!
Many of the movie's warmest, most touching moments came from Tracy's long-running romance with Tess Trueheart. Somehow, they're always at a loss for words when the conversation turns to the topic of settling down.
Well, don't you think that since we have so much in common, it might be a good idea if we just went ahead and...
Yes?
Here's what I think about Dick Tracy and Tess Trueheart. They've been involved for quite a long time. They're very honest with each other, but it's a little bit of a plunge to get married.
The supreme test of Tracy's faithfulness comes when Breathless Mahoney slinks onto the scene with orders from Big Boy Caprice to bring the great detective down any way she can.
Aren't you gonna frisk me?
Madonna. She's currently setting trends with Vogue, her newest #1 hit.
Vogue.
Now, Madonna is breathless.
I chose to do Dick Tracy because I love the character of Breathless Mahoney, and no one else could play her part but me.
I know how you feel. You don't know if you want to hit me or kiss me. I get a lot of that.
Breathless wears a lot of tight dresses. Those are her redeeming qualities. I have to say that I think I've had more fittings than I have shooting days for this movie.
Breathless is every good guy's idea of bad, raising pulse rates whenever she sings at Gangland's favorite hangout, Club Ritz. Breathless was a double challenge for Madonna, playing a major character in Dick Tracy, while mastering 3 new songs by Broadway's legendary Tony-winning composer, Stephen Sondheim.
They were very difficult songs to learn, and they were incredible songs. And it was a great learning experience, because when I first heard them, I just said, I can't sing those kind of songs. Stephen was very, very helpful and generous, and he gave me a lot of encouragement.
5, 6, 7, and...
Under the watchful eye of Warren Beatty, Madonna rehearsed as long and hard as she ever had for any world tour or music video. On this day, camping it up in a chorus girl parody called More. For Warren Beatty and his talented team of movie makers, Dick Tracy represents a half-decade of creative effort, endless logistics, and innovative problem-solving. All that to bring Chester Gould's legendary comic strip world to life. And in the process, advancing the art of telling stories on film.
I think they have designed something that is completely and utterly unique and original, and that's the most exciting thing that you can do in movies.
Dick Tracy makes me nostalgic. It makes me think about when I was a kid. Everything was very clear in Dick Tracy. What was good was clear, what was bad was clear. Dick Tracy's good. He's straightforward, he's honest, tough, and I like him.
Make sure your eyeglasses are off. Once again, please, in modern day wristwatches.
I'll tell you.
I'm moved by this. Let's shoot it.
Star Warren Beatty has opening weekend jitters. He's put his heart and soul into the movie. Dick Tracy, our inside story today.
You want me to take a risk? I want you to take a risk.
I told you I'd protect you if you testified.
Protect me?
It's my job.
I don't know about your job. I only know what I feel.
With a fanfare of Tommy guns, Dick Tracy is making the jump from the comic pages to the silver screen. Warren Beatty produced and directed the film and cast himself in the title role of the rock-steady detective.
He's an honest man. He knows what he wants to do. He knows bad is bad, good is good. He'd like to have a family. He doesn't know if he can live up to the responsibilities that it entails. And he's tempted. He's really tempted.
Come here.
Beatty is an Oscar-winning director, and Madonna, who co-stars as torch singer Breathless Mahoney, was Beatty's off-screen leading lady. She says he gave her a lot of guidance.
He understands how nervous you are and how you need your space or you need everybody to be quiet. I mean, he knows what you need because he is an actor.
In one scene, Breathless Mahoney is not supposed to sing well. Madonna says that Beatty helped her to do it badly.
It's hard to do a song badly, which is what I was supposed to be doing in that scene. So Warren was constantly telling me to not do it so good.
I want Tracy dead!
Two of the unsung stars of the film are makeup artists Doug Drexler and John Caglione Jr. They created all of the special makeup for the gallery of criminals who are out to get Dick Tracy. The two spent months designing the rubber faces of the crooks so that they looked as much like the original comic characters as possible. But when it came to Al Pacino as the head gangster, Big Boy Caprice, well, they let him create his own look after some wild experimentation.
We had a mix and match supply of appliances like noses and cheeks and brows and chins.
Everything, yeah.
Yeah, so he said, take him to the trailer and burn him down. Try every nose and every ear and every forehead on him until he's sick of it and he's not interested anymore.
Right.
But the more he did it, the more he loved it.
He loved it.
And he did it for 3 days.
Yeah.
And he came out all excited, you know, and
with 8 different faces,
yeah,
you know, to look at.
Yeah,
and
we had 8
it.
different. It was like playing Mr. Potato Head with Al Pacino.
The pair also says they never knew who they would run into on the set of the film.
I walked by the trailer and we were just past it and I said, I just saw Jackie Onassis. And we stepped back and we looked in Warren's trailer and it was Jackie Onassis.
Enough.
Yeah.
You never knew who you were going to see. Really? Jack Nicholson.
Gary Hart was there one night.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. I mean, we were like...
The people on the sidelines were as much a celebrity as the people who were, you know, in the film.
11-year-old Charlie Korsmo plays Tracy's sidekick, the Kid. He says he originally didn't want to do the film because he had just finished another one and wanted a rest. But the 1-2 punch of Warren and Madonna convinced him to do it.
Eventually, they convinced me to come out to Los Angeles for one day to be auditioned by Warren personally in his house. And I ended up being there the whole day, you know, just talking with him. And he called Madonna in, and she made popcorn. And I liked him a lot, and we instantly got along. And I guess he convinced me to do it, because I did.
Remember when we were doing the scene, and I asked you to invent a line, and you said you didn't like the line. What was your substitute line?
As God is my witness, I shall never go hungry again.
The hype and publicity behind Dick Tracy is intense, and now it's up to audiences to make it a hit.
You're all right, kid.
And now we know what Madonna makes for dinner. Beatty got involved with the Tracy film in 1975. It took 15 years plus a big salary cut on his part to bring the movie into theaters. Later in the show, we're going to take you back to the 1930s to meet the creator of the Dick Tracy comic strip. In fact, the history of Dick Tracy can be traced all the way back to the king of the mystery sleuths, Sherlock Holmes.
Tracy.
Tracy?
You mind if I call you Dick?
The current movie hype has made him a household name for the present, but Dick Tracy is a detective with a long and colorful past. Created in 1931 in an era of gangsters, the chisel-chinned character came to life on the Woodstock, Illinois work table of Chester Gould. Now, Gould thought if the cops couldn't catch criminals, he would create a character who could. And according to his daughter Jean, he actually based his character on another famous sleuth named Sherlock Holmes.
He went to his drawing board. He started sketching what Sherlock Holmes might look like today, with a snap-brimmed fedora, a young, sharp-looking character, and all of a sudden he knew he had something.
What this son of a small-town newspaper editor had was an instant hit, and throughout the 40s, Dick Tracy became even hotter. He was carried by nearly 1,000 newspapers, sold millions of comic books, and Dick Tracy paraphernalia popped up everywhere. But it didn't stop there. If you think Warren Beatty is starring in the very first Dick Tracy film, Tracy expert Larry Doucet says, guess again.
There have been 4 Dick Tracy movies in the 30s and 40s and 4 cliffhanger serials. And this is basically the 9th Dick Tracy movie coming out with Warren Beatty and Madonna.
Wait a minute. That door was closed when I came in here.
Making his movie debut over half a century ago, the square-jawed detective was portrayed by Ralph Byrd in a handful of serials. And the B-movies released in the mid-40s included one titled Dick Tracy Meets Gruesome, starring Boris Karloff as the bad guy.
Why don't you have Tracy take a look at him? I think I will.
Naturally, it was only a matter of time before the detective delved into the world of cartoons in the animated adventures of Dick Tracy.
I'm on my way to the dock. You just keep an eye on that platypus.
While Gould believed strongly that crime doesn't pay, it was the colorful criminals he created that made the comics popular and profitable. And his inspiration for characters came in a variety of ways, according to Gould's grandson, Tracy, named after you-know-who.
He drew up an egg-shaped circle for a head, which he normally did for anybody he was drawing. And he drew some eyes, and he said, oh, gosh, I don't know what I'm going to do. Well, he took his pencil and started crossing it out. And he said, my gosh. He said, I love prunes. This looks like a prune. Prune face.
Gould identified with his characters, and as the strip progressed, Tracy became his alter ego with subtle changes.
Tracy was a very slim young man in the 30s, and as my dad matured and gained weight, so did Tracy.
Chester Gould died in 1985, but his family believes he would have been proud of the latest Tracy film and the way it has given new life to that square-jawed detective named Dick.
Want a share of the loot in McDonald's $40 million Dick Tracy Crime Stopper game? Just play your cards right and win a Big Mac, French fries, icy Coke, or up to $1 million. It's easy. Rub one box at a time and follow the clues to solve the crime.
You're finished.
Dick Tracy. The movie is only in theaters. I'm rubbing it out. The game is only at McDonald's.
Nothing like a good spanky.
You're under arrest.
Aren't you gonna frisk me? I chose to do Dick Tracy because it was a great script, and I loved the character of Breathless Mahoney. I was beginning to wonder what a girl had to do to get arrested.
Wearing that dress is a step in the right direction.
Breathless wears a lot of tight dresses. Those are her redeeming qualities. She has a vulnerable side, so if anyone can manage to be a villainess and vulnerable at the same time, that's interesting. Breathless loves 88 Keys, but only as a friend, and 88 Keys is madly in love with Breathless, because Breathless won't give him the time of day, really. What was that all about?
My income tax.
Hey!
Breathless is madly in love with Dick Tracy, but Dick Tracy won't give her the time of day, so she's pretty miserable about that.
You know what's...
And Big Boy doesn't really love anybody but himself, and I know that my relationship with him is an arranged relationship, and there is no love, so I just accept it. And I mean, he's just too much of a psychotic to love anybody. What it all boils down to is that the people that we're in love with don't love us back. And that's easy to understand because that's how it happens in real life. You always love what you can't have.
All set. Okay, boys, let's go.
Shot!
Let me see the top of that again, Brad.
All right, don't move. Who is it? Who is it?
To act and direct at the same time is kind of a schizophrenic existence. It's not really possible to do, but you just pretend that you're doing it.
Hello, boys. Tracy. Here, Chief. Tracy, are we glad to see you? Tracy, whoever they are, they're all dead. Five dead men, Tracy. And we don't even know who they are. Whoever did it took their identification. They didn't take a dime. Big boy Caprice.
He understands how nervous you are and how you need your space or you need everybody to be quiet. I mean, he knows what you need because he is an actor.
You want me to take a risk? I want you to take a risk.
I told you I'd protect you if you testify.
Protect me?
It's my job.
I don't know about your job. I only know what I feel. If you can't tell me how you feel, Tracy, then I can't trust you.
He's very giving, he's very generous, and he's a perfectionist. And I think that those are the best directors to work with.
I think I'm an okay director. I'd always like to have somebody else, but in a pinch, I will do it. This was a pinch, and I did it.
Tracy, wait!
Hey, you all right, kid? Thanks for the tip.
It's okay. You know, it's hard. It's work.
You two married? No. Would you like a broken arm?
I don't like days.
Good. Me neither.
Warren, as a director, is very caring about the actors.
When I first heard them, I just said, I can't sing those kind of songs. And it was a great learning experience because you have to learn something and then you have to make it your own if you didn't write it. You know, find what it is that's you in it. It was hard. It's hard to do a song badly, which is what I was supposed to be doing in that scene. So Warren was constantly telling me to not do it so good, to not move well, to not sing well, to just kind of drip through it. But after doing 100 takes of it, it wasn't hard to feel that way. I mean, it was painful, but that's fine.
I hope. I think it's kind of fresh because it's not like anything I've been connected with.
You won $1,000? How? I helped Dick Tracy catch a thief. Play McDonald's $40 million Dick Tracy Crime Stopper game. Every card's a potential winner with 2 ways to play. Win instant prizes like Big Mac sandwiches, even $1 million in cash. Hey, one clue led to another. Yeah, so what are you, secret agent now or what? Dick Tracy the movie is only in theaters. Dick Tracy the Crime Stopper game is only in McDonald's. Now I'm on the lookout for prune face. Yeah, a face only a winner could love.
Nothing like a good spanky.
Dick Tracy premiered on Thursday, June 14th at the AMC Pleasure Island Theaters in Buena Vista, Florida.
Dick Tracy should make a mint. The Touchstone film, which opens 1 minute after midnight this Friday, was screened for a celebrity audience last night in Washington, D.C. Outside the theater, crowds waited for hours to get a look at the stars. They weren't disappointed. Madonna arrived with Dick Tracy himself, Warren Beatty, and young co-star Charlie Korsmo. After the three posed for fans and photographers, Madonna got some rave reviews.
Madonna's awesome, and this movie's going to prove it.
Unbelievable. The legs are fantastic.
Wearing a mini dress and platform shoes, Madonna ducked out early and got back to her concert tour.
I'm wearing black underwear.
Inside the theater, the crowd reportedly applauded the first time they saw the stars. Wonder Woman Linda Carter gave the leading lady a thumbs up.
I think that maybe it is finally her time in one of her movies.
Warren Beatty, who also directed and produced the movie, was modest about his own performance.
I like my hat and coat. I don't know. I think it's fun.
After the movie, the audience danced and gambled at a federal museum that was transformed into the movie's Club Ritz.
Place your bets, please.
As Warren Beatty mingled with fans, Charlie Korsmo got a streak going at the blackjack table, but he couldn't keep a poker face about the fun he had making the movie.
I didn't have to go to school, and I hate school, so I got a tutor, and that was probably the best part of the movie, actually.
This cockroach your old man?
Go suck an egg.
Pretty tough talk from a little sprout.
The big guns were out in Lake Buena Vista, Florida at the Disney MGM studios for the official world premiere of Dick Tracy.
Here he is, Dick Tracy Warren Beatty.
Warren Beatty led the parade of stars, which included co-star Glenn Headley and Dustin Hoffman, who brought his family in Dick Tracy outfits. The premiere went like gangbusters. On the way to the party afterwards, the actors in the movie were all smiles.
It's a big thrill. I have my children here, and it's really wonderful.
I think it's just the picture of the century.
Warren Beatty seemed relaxed.
It's fun. This is fun.
But pal Dustin Hoffman said the hype put stress on the director and star of the film.
I think the pressure on Warren, for some reason, is that he's not allowed to be good. He has to be brilliant, and here he is. So he beat him.
There was some old-fashioned glitz and the traditional handprints in cement.
Yeah. Send it up to us. Look out.
And there was just as much excitement in the hometown of Chester Gould, who created the cartoon character. A special screening of the film brought out Gould's co-workers who still write and draw the cartoon.
I think it's a $30 million Valentine to Chester Gould, which has been delivered in Woodstock, Illinois.
Chester Gould's daughter and grandson couldn't have been prouder.
It's just one of the most marvelous evenings I've ever experienced. My father's right here next to me.
I wish Grandpa were here.
By the way, Breathless Mahoney made news by not making the Dick Tracy premiere. Madonna has throat and vocal cord problems and has canceled her concert appearance scheduled for tonight in Philadelphia.
Tonight on Evening Magazine, Dick Tracy pairs Madonna and Warren Beatty on screen.
But how far does the off-screen romance go?
Watching Warren and Madonna fall in love?
I just don't understand it. They're just good friends.
Plus, how talk shows book the big stars.
We have Bruce Springsteen's favorite tuna salad.
Hi everybody, I'm Jan Yanahiro. Welcome to Evening Magazine. I'm just back from vacation and Lauren Nancaro is on vacation. Don Blue will be taking his place all this week. Don finally got a job. I'm supposed to meet him here at his new radio station, K101. I think this is it, but there's no sign.
Hey, Jan, how you doing? I was going to get this up before you got here. Here it is, big budget ad campaign right there, huh? K101.
Congratulations, the morning man on K101.
Thank you.
You finally got a job.
I did. So what are we talking about tonight?
Dick Tracy, the movie just opened.
Oh, yeah, I've been talking about it on K101.
Well, you know, Disney Productions has pulled out all the stops for a big publicity splash, including bringing out the elusive Warren Beatty.
No.
Tracy.
You mind if I call you Dick?
I really wanted to work with Warren Beatty.
I think Warren won the job.
Warren!
But sex gets in the way of it.
Aren't you gonna frisk me?
Everybody thinks of Warren Beatty as the world's greatest lover. Well, if he was, he'd be dead.
Are you gonna make a move? Do I have to do everything?
I want to do it.
Dick Tracy is a good man.
Many are saying this may be the summer of Dick Tracy. But after seeing Warren Beatty at the world premiere in Florida, it may also be remembered as the summer of his coming out party.
Disney is putting on a great show for you. How do you feel about all their support for your movie?
They're amazing.
I'm amazed.
I think the pressure on Warren, for some reason, is that he's not allowed to be good. He has to be brilliant, and here he is. So he beat him.
Dustin Hoffman is only one of over a dozen major stars appearing in Dick Tracy, which is produced by, directed by, and stars Warren Beatty. For years, Beatty has been Mr. Mysterious, rarely giving interviews. But overnight, Mr. Mysterious has disappeared, only to be replaced by Mr. Congeniality.
Hey, Warren, what would Dick Tracy say? And you've been more receptive to the press in the last few weeks than you've been in a long time. And I'd like to know how the folks at Disney might have coached you or helped you to promote this movie. Because, well, it seems like you're doing a lot more for this movie than you've done for past movies.
Okay. Here's what I think. I don't really believe in movie publicity.
But Warren has changed his mind. All of a sudden, he's out there, promoting, and seemingly enjoying the spotlight.
I think I've been not waking up and smelling coffee about this, and I think that
that the way we distribute movies now, the way we make them, requires it for some reason.
You're a good man, Tracy. And I want to do the right thing. Come here.
Up until now, Beatty's biggest problem was all the publicity surrounding his alleged love affairs with his co-stars. Madonna is the latest.
What about the romance on the set? Madonna and Warren?
Are you kidding? Watching Warren and Madonna fall in love?
Madonna is a person of an unlimited, it seems, amount of energy, of generosity of spirit.
What about the whole thing with Madonna? What do you think about that?
I don't know. I don't understand it. I just don't understand it. They're just good friends.
They're just good friends? What about on the set? Were they more than good friends?
Much more than good friends.
Another thing we learned at the Dick Tracy World premiere is that Warren Beatty has changed. He's softened up a bit. He's a lot more relaxed with the press and with his fans. In fact, this is the first time in years that he's personally promoting one of his films. He really believes that Dick Tracy is going to be this summer's blockbuster hit. And he may be right. Most of the people we talked to loved it.
They took a cartoon strip and put it to film, and they still gave you the illusion of reading a cartoon. It's great.
It's got Batman beat. Hands down.
What do you think of Warren Beatty?
Very cute. I was just going to say, he's very cute.
Yeah?
For an older man.
Beatty is now 53. His last picture, Ishtar, was a box office bomb. But Disney is not taking any chances, almost thrusting Warren Beatty into the spotlight.
And it deserves the kind of support that, you know, a star like him can lend to it. And I think once he felt that way about it himself, he dove in, hook, line, and sinker, and I don't know of anybody that's ever done it better.
But Warren may have overdone it. I never dreamed I'd hear Warren Beatty tell me to keep him from talking.
You better shut me up, because I can go on for a long time.
Well, how has Disney helped you?
Disney has actually been a big help to me, because Disney is a cheerful organization.
Only box office receipts will tell if Disney and Beatty will stay cheerful. But until then...
All's fair in love and business.
Okay, boys, let's go. What would Dick Tracy say? He wouldn't say anything. He would just keep walking, right?
So, Don, all the publicity for this new movie, Dick Tracy, took place this past weekend in Florida, and it appeared as if everybody had a good time.
Ooh, there were some tense moments, though. Wait till you see this, where our Evening Magazine cameraman gets a little too close to Warren, and Beatty's bodyguards rough him up. Look at this.
All right, you're cool. Get going. Okay, we're attached. Hey, we're attached. We're attached. All right, Harley, way down. Great way to treat the press.
Mark, our cameraman, says he was very surprised that bodyguard did that.
He was petrified. He was so scared.
The guy was a little excited, the bodyguard.
Well, you know, I think Warren gave him some sort of signal to do that. I mean, here you got somebody, Warren Beatty. He's what, 53 years old? He's been up all day long. He's doing all this publicity stuff, and the cameras right there.
What, Don, you've been up since 3 o'clock
I have been. I know what I look like. In fact, why don't you just get this thing off of me?
What can you win in McDonald's Dick Tracy game?
Nothing, see? We got it all. All the cash, all the food.
Nonsense. There's still millions of food and cash prizes waiting to be won.
Hey, I got a winner!
Dad, hurry and get your share of the loot.
Spanky, nothing like a good spanky.
Tonight, and somewhat unusually for his normally a reticent fellow, Beatty talks about his stardom, his reputation, deserved or otherwise, his politics, and about Dick Tracy, the new $30 million movie that's taken him right back to the top.
5 dead men, Tracy, and we don't even know who they are. Whoever did it took their identification. They didn't take a dime.
Maybe 12 years ago, somebody suggested that I play Dick Tracy, and I just didn't think it, I didn't quite see it. Because I thought it didn't look like Dick Tracy, and then I began to realize that nobody looked like Dick Tracy, and so then I thought, well, I might as well play it as the next guy. So I got interested in acting the part.
Is it something you were brought up on, Dick Tracy?
Dick Tracy is the great old American comic strip. You know, it was the first comic strip that wasn't funny. Dick Tracy was the first one that had violence and bad guys and good guys, and it wasn't just looking for laughs.
In a curious way, those about crime and violence, there's a kind of innocence about the whole thing, isn't it? It captures an earlier, more innocent America?
Well, yeah, there were two little cartoon pictures that I saw the moment I decided to do it. One was Dick Tracy just hit a guy and he knocked his hat off, and the caption said, "Take that, you cockroach." And the other one had Tess Trueheart standing with her hands on her hips saying, "Dick Tracy, are you asking me to marry you?" And when I looked at those two things, I thought, I got to make a movie of this. This could be fun. And it actually was fun. It was more fun than I ever had making a movie.
It was inevitably going to be compared with Batman, wasn't it? Because Batman came out last year.
Well, I guess so, because Batman is also a big comic strip character, but since Superman is too, I would say that Tracy probably has more in the same spirit of Superman than Batman. Batman's a kind of a darker spirit, but Tracy kind of touches me, you know, straightforward, kind of honest. Not kind of honest, thoroughly honest.
You're under arrest.
That's the way you play him, isn't it? I thought it was a very unselfish performance you gave there, because in a sense you're almost a straight man and the other people are bouncing a lot of the humor off you.
Oh, yeah. Well, Tracy in the strip was like a block of wood, and all these interesting characters ran around him all the time in a little garden of Hieronymus Bosch, but it was Tracy that kind of held things, moved them forward.
I want them dead. Both of them. I want this no-face dead, and I want Tracy dead. What's the matter? You bums forgot how to kill people? Doesn't your work mean anything to you anymore? Have you no sense of pride in what you do? No sense of duty? No sense of destiny? I'm looking for generals. What do I got? Foot soldiers.
A super performance, I thought, by Al Pacino.
Yeah.
Now, how did you persuade him to play that role?
Well, Pacino, I saw in a restaurant one day at lunch, and I had to cast this part. He knows actors very well, and I went over and talked to him about, asked him for some thoughts on the part, and he wound up saying he'd like to do it, so I got lucky.
I don't believe you got lucky, because you pulled the same trick with Jack Nicholson on Reds.
You're right. You've been doing your research.
I've been doing my research.
But you know, each time, both time I was very serious. About Jack, on Reds, I called Jack and I said, "You got to help me." And he said, "What?" And I said, "You've got to tell me an actor that I can get that everyone will completely believe that he takes Diane Keaton away from me in the picture." And he said, "You have only one choice."
And modesty is always going to hold Jack back, isn't it?
Yeah.
Aren't you gonna frisk me?
One of the revelations of the film was Madonna. Why did you want Madonna?
Madonna is, I think, the biggest bundle of talent that we've got going right now. She sings, she moves, she dances, she's a great comedian, she's beautiful, she has irony, she has intelligence, she's totally serious about what she does, and I just find the woman irresistible. I think she's going to be a giant movie star.
But in a sense, that too I would have thought was risky to take her on and give her that role, because her track record after Desperately Seeking Susan and before Dick Tracy was not really very good. I mean, how did you get that performance out of her?
Oh, Madonna's a wonderful actress. Track records don't mean anything really in the movies, do they? I mean, you make a good movie, people are going to go see it. You make a bad movie, they won't, no matter who you are or what your track record is. Madonna really has...
I was trying to give you credit for drawing a great performance out of her.
Well, I'd love to take it, but no.
You have said, and you know, I think I can understand what you mean, that when you first met her, because you didn't know her before the film, when you first met her, you simply couldn't sit still. You couldn't even sit down.
I couldn't sit down, because the woman came into the room and sat down, and I began to talk, and I find myself pacing around, because she made me nervous. And she, of course, remained seated. And
that was smart, wasn't it?
She's very smart.
What was it made you nervous?
Well, she has an impatience about her that kind of gets me moving, and I like it. She's going at about 78 while you and I are going around 33.
In the last 10 years, you made Reds, which is a very, very good film.
Yeah.
And you made Ishtar, which for all kinds of reasons, and I know you have feelings about this, was a flop.
Yeah. First of all, I think Ishtar is a funny little movie made by a brilliantly eccentric woman named Elaine May, who wrote and directed it, with an incredibly funny person named Dustin Hoffman in it, and an incredibly beautiful, gifted woman named Isabella Gianni as the leading lady, Charles Grodin, terrifically funny person, and a simple movie that cost far too much.
Did you learn anything from Ishtar?
What I learned is, unless you have someone who's on your side preparing the way for a movie to be released, you better go into the making of paintings or small books or write an essay or something, because this is now a mass marketing matter. And in fact, if you're asking me about David Putnam, who was managing the company that had to release this movie in a week or whatever, who I have never met the man. He never called me. I never saw him. I have never had the slightest contact with him.
That's surprising, because it's very contrary to my experience of David Putnam in other areas.
I have to tell you that I've still never met the man. I've never had the slightest thing to do with him. I've never received a note, a telephone call, a word about him. Ishtar, I can tell you, was a movie that got some very good reviews when it opened, from the New York Times and the Los Angeles Times and Newsweek and so on. It wasn't, you know, I know you say you didn't like it very much, but I don't know, it was just a little movie. It was like, it became an orphan.
You take a long time setting up films anyway, don't you?
Yeah.
I mean, Reds took about 5 years.
Well, I take a long time. I will let some sort of a theme ruminate for a long time.
Was that one from the heart, one that you really felt fervently
Well,
about?
I think that Reds, you know, I was one of those people that felt that that Soviet thing wasn't going to last. So I didn't think, like many Americans did, that Khrushchev was right when he banged his shoe on the table, said, "We will bury you." And so a picture had never been made in the United States about the development of the American left. It hadn't been done. Nobody ever made a capitalist-financed movie with a communist hero. And I love that movie.
Artistically, of course, it was a big success, and you were nominated as producer, director, writer, and actor for the second time.
Yeah.
You are the only person that has ever happened to. Even Orson Welles was only nominated in 4 categories once, and you've been nominated in 4 categories twice. Does that give you a good feeling?
Yes.
Recognition of your peers.
Yes.
You've made several movies with very strong, either implicit or explicit political themes. I mean, Shampoo, The Parallax View, Reds, for instance. Is that one way in which you can use that fame that came to you so instantly to do what? To do
You're talking
what?
about politically?
Yeah.
Well, I think that you mean to have a political agenda in the movies. I don't know that I have a political agenda in movies. I think your politics show, either by omission or commission, in whatever movies you do. But I would say that I got involved in politics because I was lucky enough to have known President Kennedy and Bobby Kennedy, and I became interested in politics, I think, with them, and I became very active when the war in Vietnam was going on, and I thought we should get out of it, and I got out of movies for about 3 years for political activity. Our politics has changed since then. I think not for the better. And we have to do something about it.
For a campaign dependent mainly on raising small contributions, George McGovern had a friend named Warren Beatty.
People are realizing that to be apolitical is to be really apathetic and in favor of the status quo. So people who hadn't politicized before are realizing that it does make a difference what their opinion is, but that they also have this talent to raise the interest of other people, the funds, the crowds.
When I was younger, I thought I might be interested in running for office. I wouldn't be interested in just reading the demographics in order to win the election. I might be interested in running for office, and as bizarre as this may sound, I don't know that I'd be interested in winning. But I would have a certain amount of interest in expressing what I felt to be true. And that, by the way, becomes closer to what I'm doing anyway, in the movies, in art. Or near art, what David Lean called the great near art form of the 20th century. So politics in a way has saved my life because it's kept me in touch with reality. The constant fantasy of making movies, the constant inevitable narcissism of it all is a tremendous trap if you don't lead a political life. I think I would have to say that my interest in politics is quite selfish. I love it. I enjoy it. I like dealing with people. And I like talking to you. I like all this publicity nonsense. I do believe it's wrong for movies. It's sell, sell, sell.
Well, you know, when you were working for McGovern and later for Gary Hart, you had the reputation of being an absolutely brilliant manipulator of the media. If you could manipulate the media for them, why can't you manipulate the media to get yourself rather better publicity than you tend to get?
Well, I'm here.
That's what you're doing now.
I'm manipulating the hell out of you.
I knew it. I just knew it.
Yeah, I don't know that I should say, what does manipulate mean?
Get them to do what you want them to do.
Well, I think that you get people to do what you want to do by telling them the truth, because people kind of have built-in bullshit detectors. So if you tell them the truth, maybe you can influence things to some sort of mutual good.
It's very unusual to find you doing this kind of publicity tour that you have been doing. You haven't done it, in my memory anyway. What brought you out to do it for Dick Tracy?
I finally decided that if I don't go out and do publicity, it's just invented about me anyway, and it's all a bunch of crap. So I just said to myself, well, I'm being dumb here. I'm totally, quotes are invented about by me. They are invented about me, stories invented about me, things that never happen. In other words, the gigantic amount of technology that we haven't caught up with in how to use it has an appetite that's going to be fed, and it has a high sexual appetite also. So that appetite, the junk is just going to be invented. So I think I had one approach for a lot of years, which is try to be out of it, don't respond to it, don't say anything, and it didn't work. The level of inaccuracy in the media now is so high that the only thing that we can do with each other is to participate more, communicate more with each other, and try to lower the level of inaccuracy. And I think there's a somewhat antisocial element to what comes out of not participating. If you are in a public business, if you're in a public life, and this is what this is, I can't deny that I'm not in public life.
It's something that surprises me is that, I mean, you are quite obviously a serious filmmaker. I mean, you've been seriously involved in politics. And yet, as far as your publicity is concerned, you're as well known for the number and variety of beautiful women you're supposed to have slept with as you are for your work. Now, I can't imagine that pleases you a great deal.
Well, well, let me say that it pleases me to have known the wonderful people that I've known in my life. I, of course, hate publicity that has no dignity to it, and I never respond to it. I've never spoken about people personally. If you ever read a quote about me, about a personal relationship, you can just be assured that it's made up by some half-baked columnist somewhere. I don't do it. I never do it. I will speak about someone professionally, but I don't speak about them personally. By the way, that applies to friends of mine who are male, not just female. I believe these friendships are too delicate. I'm too famous. I've been too famous for too many years to take that chance. I learned this about 15 years ago, and I've been famous for 30 years, so, you know.
But why does that...
Did I say 15 years ago? I learned this 25 years ago. I'm sorry.
You've only been famous 5 years when you know this.
Yes.
Why do you suppose that this particular kind of publicity attaches to you rather than to your contemporaries?
My contemporaries?
Yeah.
You mean the other old guys?
Yeah, well,
put it so indelicate. It might be because I have, well, I've been famous longer than any of the rest of them except for a few. And I've never been married, so I think people take liberties in this way with someone who has never been married, probably. And well, you know, I could go into it further, but it's, who knows. By the way, I think this is directed toward everyone. I don't think it's just me. I think there's a
you just get more of it.
Well, I think there's a spirit out there of some sort of vaguely malevolent spirit that probably comes out of deep egalitarian roots that say, let's take their pants off in public and see what happens.
Do you detect an element of jealousy in it, that there is this guy, this newspaper columnist, who looks at you and says, look at him, you know, he's good looking, he's rich, he's famous, he's powerful, he's had more beautiful women than I've had hot dinners, let's cut him off at the knees. Do you think there's an element of that in it?
I don't want to get caught saying that, because I think that when you attack the press, you're really attacking the people, and if you attack the people, you're attacking yourself.
Yeah, yes.
I'm ashamed every time I read it, you know.
I was going to ask, you know, whether you can joke about it, or whether you're offended, or whether you feel demeaned by it.
I'm demeaned. I can joke about it. I am offended. Sometimes it is funny. It's much funnier when I read it about you than when I read it about me.
Isn't that strange? Yes, it's the other way around with me.
Yeah.
But I mean, some of it is I assume is patently ridiculous, because if you had knowledge of half the women you're supposed to have had knowledge of, I'd be surprised to find you alive.
I'd be at the Chicago Medical Center or Mayo Clinic or something like that, and I would probably be not even this good an interview. Yeah.
You made 3 films only in the last 10 years, Reds, Ishtar, and now Dick Tracy. Isn't it? Why?
I've been lucky because I made a little money and I don't have to work to eat, but you know, making movies after a while becomes very repetitious, and I kind of sensed this because I was very lucky. I was very young when I became a movie star, you know.
Well, Splendor in the Grass.
Splendor in the Grass.
First film.
And I just make I knew then I'd make very few movies, and in fact, I started making comebacks when I was about 24.
Now, you were 30 when you made that. Warner Brothers didn't really want to make it. How did you have enough muscle to make them get behind that film?
Well, you know, these stories are dramatized because there is a need for publicity in movies. Usually they are apocryphal. They're not, the story, quite frankly, when I made Bonnie and Clyde, there were a number of studios who would have made the picture, and I simply took the best deal, which wasn't a very good deal. That's the real story. Now, the story that worked its way into the press and into the whatever you want to call it was that I got down on my knees and begged Jack Warner to make the picture. I enjoy that story, but it's not true. It's that's what happens, you know.
But that's not the story I'd heard. The story I'd heard was that when you were showing it to him, or you're going to show it to Jack Warner, somebody said if he goes to the bathroom, you're in trouble. Is that story true?
No. Jack Warner went to the bathroom 2 or 3 times during a picture, always. I don't know if I can say this.
Yes, go ahead, say
British television. A 2-piss picture was not, it was better than a 3. And so Jack Warner, at the end of this movie, said, well, that was a 3-piece picture. And I said, oh, what have we done here? Went out of the room, and he came back. The room was a wonderful room in his house. Renoirs all around. And he said, how long was that? How long was that movie? And someone said, well, Colonel, that movie was 2 hours and 10 minutes. And he said, that's the longest goddamn 2 hours and 10 minutes I've ever spent. And I thought, well, here we go. Now, we made some titles on Bonnie and Clyde in which we used subliminal, practically the use of photographs over the titles. And we had a song. It was sung by Rudy Valley, and it was very, very low, and you could barely hear it, and we brought it up louder and louder over the titles. And Jack Warner saw these titles, and he said, I can't see these photographs. What in the hell is happening here? I don't know who those people are, and make those cuts longer. I said, well, don't you like this kind of subliminal? He said, I don't want subliminal, just make it longer, and I can't hear this singer. What's going on here? He said, we invented sound at Warner Brothers. I said, well, that's the thing, we want to creep in there very slowly and very subtly. He said, don't creep, we invented sound, and I want to hear the goddamn thing. And I said, well, let me see what I can do. And I showed him the titles, and we hadn't changed anything, you know, and he sat and he looked at them, and we finished, and I said, what did you think? What do you think? And he said, very good, excellent, excellent. And he walked to the door of the screening room, and he turned around, and he said, hey, kid, I want you to know, I know you didn't change a goddamn thing, but if you listen to me, you'd make nothing but flops.
Oh, that's nice, isn't it? Yeah.
He was an entertaining man.
When you look at Hollywood now and compare it with what it was like when you first became a star 30 years ago,
yeah.
Do you like the changes that have happened?
Well, here's what I think basically has happened in Hollywood over this eternity that I've been a movie star. When it started out, the old moguls were in charge of the studios, and they ran everything, and that wasn't very healthy. But they had a certain amount of guts, and they would take some chances, and when they got hurt, they took their licking, and it was okay. They also kept their word. It was practically a definition of their strength to be able to keep their word. That period sort of came to an end, and we went into a sort of period of anarchy.
A film nowadays is not just a film, it's an event, isn't it? I mean, there's the marketing that surrounds it, and that the opening night of a film is a bit like election day. I mean, if people don't turn up on that day, you're dead. I can't see that this is a terribly healthy trend.
I think it's very bad. It's just terrible for movies, for new movies, for the creative spirit. It's bad. There's no question about it. That's not to say that it's not good to make some movies that, like we know what we want in a hamburger, or we know what we want with, you know, a fast food. But when we know what we want in movies and we just say, well, we're going to get sequel number 2 and 3 and 4, I think it's too bad, because it takes the fun out of it, really.
Are you popular in the film community?
Oh, yeah. I mean, these are people I've known all my life, and but you know, the film community is not just Hollywood. It's in London and in New York and in Paris and in Rome, and you know, I've spent a tremendous amount of time, you know, in London through the years, and I like people who make movies. You know.
You were an icon of the 60s and of the 70s in the cinema. Missed out on the 80s. Are you now set on being an icon of the 90s as well?
I think I became an icon in the 80s. But if I don't know if I'm an icon. I don't know. One of the great luxuries of being around for a long time is I guess you get your iconship. And you're there, you do that, and you do what you do, and then I don't know, you know your profession, sort of, and if you're smart, you know that you're surrounded by people who know it better. You make a movie, everybody knows their field better than you do, and you go along and you pretend you know something, and I have just a satisfactory time making something serious, as I do of something that's entertaining, like Dick Tracy. Making Reds for me was a very satisfying experience. It's particularly satisfying, I think, when you make a movie like that that seems to become more relevant as the time goes on. I felt that particularly with the other movie that you mentioned, which was Shampoo. It has a greater political resonance as it fades into the past, and the sexual overtones are not so shocking, I guess. But as you what am I talking about?
It's fascinating. No, but I mean, yeah, you're absolutely right about Shampoo, because on the surface, Shampoo is about a very randy hairdresser, but it's about politics, sexual politics, and politics as well.
And it's about sexual politics. It's about money. It's about the most affluent little geographical era in the world, Beverly Hills, and it's a very funny movie.
Yeah, it is.
It's a very funny movie. It's a good movie.
Are you going to make more movies in the future? You know, 3 in 10 years is really not enough.
Yeah, I want to make more movies, you know, yeah.
That's a sort of non-committal, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, do you have anything specifically in mind that you would like to do
I'm going to
next?
make a movie about Howard Hughes. I'm also going to make a movie which involves American politics. I'm going to act in a couple of movies, and there's some people that, for one reason or another, want to work with me as an actor, and I'm going to do that if I can. And, you know,
This looks like a feverish burst of work for you. I mean, we're not going to have to wait another 3 or 5 years for the next
probably
one.
More like a feverish interview, but I don't know that the burst of work will be feverish. But when a person makes movies, and then there's a tendency when someone likes to stay out of sight a little bit to think, well, when he's out of sight, he's not doing anything.
A lot of people that I know are openly in the business, movie stars,
yeah,
because of the money, because of the fame, because of the power that go with those two things. You, I imagine, want a lot more than that. You obviously want more than that.
Well, I think as a kid, I was interested in becoming rich, and famous also interested me very much. Rich and famous about did it for me, but there was, you know, I never really, as a kid, accepted that I wanted to be an actor. I was stunned for years when I'd go into Heathrow and see on my passport actor. I'd think, not me, you know. And then I began to have a tremendous amount of respect for my profession. That was after about 3 or 4 years of doing it. And when I first produced a picture in the 60s, which was Bonnie and Clyde, my life changed because I saw that if I worked very hard and I had something that I wanted to say, that I could control, to some extent, my own destiny. And I guess that's why I feel such an affection and sympathy for people who are actors. I even feel this for Ronald Reagan, and I don't have, you know, I don't share his politics at all.
I didn't think so.
No, but I can't help having that feeling of.
I suppose it's too much to hope that the rumor that he was going to play Pruneface in Dick Tracy without makeup is true.
I know it is not true, but it's worth another movie. Let's say if he would. Not a bad actor, Reagan. Not a bad actor.
Not a great actor.
Well, no.
From where I sit, you seem to have had a pretty good life so far. Would you go along with that?
I think I'm a real lucky person. Yeah.
The only thing that appears to be missing, and I suppose I might as well ask you this, is marriage and children,
yeah.
right? And,
yeah.
I mean, have you got anything against marriage and children?
I have nothing against marriage and children. I would like to be married and have children.
Well, why haven't you been?
Well, you're kind of a seductive, manipulative interviewer, and I'm afraid that you'll get me into subjects that will then be quoted by those columnists in those papers that we talk about, and I'll fall into deep.
I thought it might be an answer as simple as I've never actually met anybody I really wanted to marry yet. Right. Warren, thank you very much indeed. I wish you the very best with Dick Tracy.
Thank you.
It was a huge success.
Thanks.
It really has been great.
Thank you.
Coming Friday, mystery, adventure, suspense, $40 million in cash and food prizes. McDonald's Dick Tracy Crime Stopper game. It would be a crime to miss it.
Spanky, nothing like a good spanky.
The film was released in June 1990 in the US. Reviews range from favorable to mixed, with positive comments on the performances, particularly Pacino and Madonna, production design, makeup effects, the music, and Beatty's direction, but negative ones on the screenplay and characterization. The film was a success at the box office, but is mostly remembered today for its visual style.
Warren Beatty stars as Dick Tracy, the comic strip hero come to life in this summer's challenger to Batman. We'll be reviewing Dick Tracy and Another 48 Hours, the new Eddie Murphy-Nick Nolte movie, on this edition of Siskel and Ebert. I'm Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times.
And I'm Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune. And our first film is Warren Beatty's eagerly awaited film of Dick Tracy. And I was startled when I first saw it because this is not really, first and foremost, the story of a detective. Rather, it's a love story about a guy who happens to be a detective. Beatty plays Tracy as a contemporary man without a square jaw, not like in the comic strip, but as a workaholic caught between two women, Tess Trueheart, the dutiful good woman, and the vampish, breathless Mahoney, a nightclub singer who comes on to Tracy hard when he visits her while investigating a crime. Madonna plays Breathless. The crime story in the film centers on mob boss Big Boy Caprice, Tracy's sworn enemy, played joyfully by Al Pacino. He looks like one of the Corleones crossed with Richard III and sounds like Pacino in And Justice for All. The film looks great, as in this shootout, which adds primary colors, blues, reds, yellows, and greens to a hail of bullets reminiscent of old Warner Brothers gangster films from the 30s. The film looks just great. The weakest link in it, however, for me is Warren Beatty as actor, who plays a downsized, more contemporary Tracy, even though he's wearing period clothes, a yellow hat, and coat. The film is glorious to look at and a true invention, and individual performers, notably Pacino, are first-rate. I just wish the crime story were a little tighter and that Beatty had played Tracy as more of a hero. Otherwise, it is a truly original creation.
I just want to have one point here. First of all, I don't think yellow hats and coats are period clothes. I think that that period exists only in the Chester Gould comic strip that Dick Tracy is based on. Well, but apart from that, Dick Tracy in the comics and in this movie is kind of something for the others to ricochet off of. Dick Tracy, to me, was always the least interesting character in the comic strip because he was always surrounded by these weird-looking, bizarre creatures. And one of the things that I really enjoyed about this movie is the use of makeup, especially in that opening poker scene and some of the other scenes where these really weird, strange-looking people come along, like Dustin Hoffman playing Mumbles, or Big Boy Caprice, whatever his name is. The Al Pacino inside that makeup and inside that costume really steals the show. It's a fabulous performance. But what I liked most about the movie was how it creates an entirely different world for us to look at. And what I'd like to do right now is take a very specific look at Dick Tracy's original movie world. Let's look at a scene where Tracy follows the kid back to a tar paper shack he lives in with his sadistic mentor in crime. A scene that really shows off the special effects and art direction of the movie. What we're looking at here is a completely artificial creation that exists only within a movie studio and only within the imaginations of the people who made this film. This is not a real city. These are not real buildings. That's not a real horizon. These are not real interiors. These are not real exteriors. Nothing in this entire movie from beginning to end exists anywhere except in the imagination of Warren Beatty and the people that he's put together as a team to create this movie. The art director, the visual effects people, the optical illusion people, the mad artists. Everyone in this movie has worked together in order to create a new universe that doesn't exist anywhere except in Dick Tracy.
Maybe we should step outside.
Ever since I first started going to the movies as a kid, I've always loved films that go to the trouble of creating a completely new and original world for their stories to take place in. even if it was only a movie about gigantic grasshoppers and you could see that they were only knocking over cardboard skyscrapers, that was fun for me because the whole movie was made up, and that is the special quality and the special innocence of Dick Tracy, that the sets, the costumes, the primary colors, the backdrop, the makeup, the special effects all take us into this new world that we've never seen before.
Well, it reminds me of Robert Altman's creation for the movie Popeye, where it was more physical set building that was truly spectacular and created a world. I liked, in that film, I liked Robin Williams' Popeye. Here, I didn't care for Beatty's Tracy, and I'm wondering what you think about that.
I think I know what you mean, and that the character is not real dynamic and the character is not really out there. It's almost as if Tracy is the brunt of the plot, and he's the victim of everybody that's trying to pull him this way and pull him that way. Maybe you would have preferred a Tracy who was a little more active.
Well, would you? Yes, absolutely.
The movie is exactly as it's made, and it seems to me that
they all are.
Yeah, it works fine this way for me.
No, I wanted a guy to take a little charge. He's insecure. He seems to be more contemporary. It seems to be more about Warren Beatty than it is about the guy in the comic
but that's
strip.
legitimate. I mean, I think maybe
it's legitimate.
That's why Warren Beatty wanted to make this movie.
I just don't think it's that interesting for that on that aspect. I still think the picture is extraordinary as a creation of film.
Okay,
listen up. Here's the lowdown on the big Dick Tracy lookalike costume contest. Saturday, July 7th at Wanamaker's in the King of Prussia Plaza, first floor mall entrance. 3 categories: Dick Tracy, Breathless Mahoney, and Villains. Registration begins at 11 a.m. Contest starts at 2. Prizes include soundtracks, t-shirts, movie passes, Wanamaker's gift certificates, and trips to Disney World, care of Carlson City Flights Travel and Midway Airlines. So get dressed up in your Dick Tracy costumes and come on out. What do you think of that, kid?
Go suck an egg.
Kids.
Spanky, nothing like a good spanky.
Dick Tracy. This top 10 hit was more than just a movie. It was the film event of the year.
Tracy! 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 It's like he's reading my mind.
Extra, extra, Tracy Battles move!
I'm taking this bum out of the headlines. I'm rubbing him out.
Oh, Tracy, watch out!
Leave Dick Tracy to me.
I say we kill Tracy now.
You challenge me, we all go down!
Aren't you gonna arrest me?
I want to know who killed Lips Manless.
Not the bad! Not the bad, big boy, not the bad! I know, and I'm gonna miss you, but all's fair in love and business.
Whose side are you on?
The side I'm always on. Mine.
What? What's the word out? Lips territory is my territory now! Everything he owns, I own!
Move in and take your positions. Okay, boys, let's go. And you are guilty of attempting to bribe an officer of the law.
She does some nifty undercover work. That Dick Tracy drives you crazy, doesn't he?
All right, that's enough! I want Tracy dead!
Tracy, let's get him! Good luck.
You have just said goodbye to oxygen.
Aren't you gonna frisk me?
Stupid cop.
Tracy?
Warren Beatty is Dick Tracy. Dick Tracy, one of the year's top 10 hits, an A-plus film. Dick Tracy, a critically acclaimed motion picture, backed by tremendous popular appeal and a box office of $107 million.
Jeez, Tracy, that was a lot of dough.
Dick Tracy was the best reviewed film of the year. Time magazine said, Tracy is tops. Great movie making. Siskel and Ebert said, 2 thumbs up. The picture is extraordinary. The Los Angeles Times called it brash, irresistible fun. And now, Touchstone Home Video brings the video event of the year right into your store. Dick Tracy has created a media sensation with over 2,000 articles and major magazine covers, along with unprecedented television coverage. Tracy is also Disney's most successful merchandising effort ever. Music from Dick Tracy is a winner, too. No other film has had 3 chart-busting albums and 2 hit singles. It all adds up to 100% consumer awareness and an extraordinary business opportunity for home video retailers. Now's the time to grab your share of the Tracy phenomena. rental intent for Dick Tracy is as high as it was for 3 Men and a Baby, the industry's all-time #1 rental, and much higher than for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
They believe in you, Tracy.
Touchstone ensures high rental profits with a Dick Tracy event kit coming in November, featuring a 5-foot standee that sends them to the new release rack. Turn your store into Dick Tracy headquarters and add more excitement with special Dick Tracy items you can buy direct from licensees using our merchandise flyer. Tracy is sure to be the first sell-through sensation of 1991 because previously viewed copies of Dick Tracy are slated to sell as well as they rent. Millions of people want to buy Dick Tracy. That's right. Purchase intent to buy Dick Tracy is as high as the season's hottest sellers. And Dick Tracy will only be available in video rental stores. Since more people want Tracy than there are tapes available, you're bound to sell every copy you own at previously viewed prices. To be sure they sell off fast, Touchstone is offering special $3 direct-to-the-consumer rebates for every tape sold. And you can order a special sell-off kit that features this innovative $3 consumer rebate offer, along with a counter unit with 12 copies of Dick Tracy plus POP. No other film will earn you more in rental and sell-through this December than Dick Tracy. After all, who's gonna beat Tracy? Dick Tracy. Pre-book date December 11th. Street date December 19th.
The film was released on VHS in the US on December 18th, 1990. The Laserdisc and the UK VHS was released in 91.
It's not just a game, it's a mystery, an adventure. It's you against Pruneface, Influence, Itchy, and a motley crew of criminals in McDonald's Dick Tracy Crime Stopper game. Solve crimes, catch crooks, collect rewards like food or cash, up to $1 million. Dick Tracy, the movie is in theaters.
I'm on my way.
The game is at McDonald's.
Spanky, nothing like a good spanky.
Extra, extra, read all about it.
The mob has taken over the streets. Crime is out of control. Who can stop this? Only Dick Tracy, master detective with legendary deductive powers, dedicated lawman known and feared by criminals everywhere. With the aid of his dependable right-hand man, Sam Ketchum, and the best in crime-fighting technology, Dick Tracy's gonna clean up the city his own way. Can Tracy and Ketchum do it alone? Find out next time. Dick Tracy! From Playmates.
Read all about it.
Downtown holdup in progress. A police squad car is on the way with Dick Tracy himself at the wheel. Suddenly, Big Boy's getaway sedan speeds past them, going the other way. The police car turns in hot pursuit, and Tracy uses the siren to clear the streets of innocent citizens. Sure enough, it sounds like machine gun fire is coming from the getaway vehicle. How will Dick Tracy stop them now? Find out next time. Dick Tracy! From Playmates.
Read all about it.
One of Dick Tracy's junior detectives has witnessed the killers Itchy and Flat Top leaving the scene of a crime. Luckily, he's got on the Dick Tracy two-way wristwatch, the best way to keep in touch with headquarters. The transmit button activates the voice monitoring light, and the built-in working watch keeps super accurate time. Will Dick Tracy get there, or will Itchy and Flat Top get away? Find out next time.
Dick Tracy, Baker's Vehicles and Watch each sold separately from Playmates.
Tracy and his right-hand man, Sam Ketchum, have a hot lead on some of Lips Manless's boys. The vicious and murderous Brow, the sly and slippery Rhodey, and the snarling muscle man, Foley. Seems they can all be together in a downtown garage in a poker game, and if they are, they'll be armed to the teeth. Will Tracy be able to take them by surprise, or is he walking into a trap? Find out next time. From Playmates.
Read all about it.
Al Big Boy Caprice and his men Mumbles, Flat Top, Itchy, and Influence have called a meeting with Pruneface to get him to join their mob. Pruneface agrees, and with weapons drawn, they swear to get Dick Tracy once and for all. Suddenly, sirens blare, searchlights fill the room, and the door bursts open. It's Dick Tracy and his right-hand man, Sam Ketchum. Big Boy's gang is finished for now, but can Tracy keep them behind bars? Find out next time. Dick Tracy! from Playmates.
This summer, Disneyland turns the spotlight onto America's ultimate crime stopper, Dick Tracy, with a live stage spectacular that brings the magic of the movie to the Magic Kingdom. Meet Blacktop, Mumbles, Big Boy, and Breathless Mahoney as an all-new caper comes to life. It's your chance to even get into the act. If you love the movie, you'll love Dick Tracy live this summer at Disneyland.
Beatty hired Danny Elfman to compose the film score based on his previous success with Batman. In addition, Beatty hired acclaimed songwriter Stephen Sondheim to write 5 original songs. Band-Aid released their version of Dick Tracy on the NES in August 1991, which was developed by Real Time Associates. The game was loosely based on the comic strip and not the movie. It was then released in February 1991 on the Sega systems and was a side-scrolling arcade video game.
Extra, extra, read all about it!
In the Dick Tracy game for your Nintendo Entertainment System, Tracy wants to put out Big Boy Caprice behind bars. And the only way he can do it is by arresting Big Boy's gang one at a time. Then Itchy, Flat Top, and all the rest will turn state's evidence, and it'll be so long, Big Boy. But can Tracy avoid Big Boy's muscle, his snipers, his triggermen? Will he get the clues he needs, or will he just get it? Find out next time. Dick Tracy! From Bandai.
Fruit of the Loom knows that inside your little angel lurks a one-man demolition derby. So Fruit of the Loom makes boys' briefs that last, wash after wash after wash, with pre-shrunk cotton fabric and a super strong waistband. That's why more moms buy Fruit of the Loom.
How was your day? Pretty quiet. We fit America with Fruit of the Loom.
Now look for Dick Tracy on Fun Pals, only from Fruit of the Loom.
Frankie, nothing like
Disney modeled its marketing campaign after the 1989 success of Batman, which was a high-concept promotion. This included McDonald's promotional tie-in and the Warren Beatty interview conducted by Barbara Walters on 2020.
The most critically acclaimed movie of the year is now America's #1 hit, Dick Tracy. Time proclaims it the best comic strip movie yet, and Siskel and Ebert say 2 thumbs up. Warren Beatty is Dick Tracy, rated PG. And now at Disneyland, Dick Tracy explodes off the screen and onto the stage in a live musical spectacular. It's Dick Tracy magic in the Magic Kingdom. Dick Tracy, the movie, is only in theaters. The stage show is only at Disneyland.